Do you find yourself waiting on your kingdom spouse? My wife recently did a video where she said that she knew that I was her husband. However, she still had to wait. And I want to be honest with you. I had to wait as well. So in this video, I want to give you 3 things that the Lord was doing in me as I was waiting on my wife. And like always, comment below. We really want to see your feedback and also answer any questions that you may have. Now, do me a favor, please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now, before I jump into my first point, one of the things that I want to address is God's timing. Now, I know for myself personally, I was frustrated with God's timing. And reading some of your comments, I know that some of you are frustrated with God's timing. And one thing that I did not understand at the moment, especially in this season, is how God operates, especially his timing. He operates in Chronos time and even Kairos time. And I really want to encourage you. God will bring your kingdom spouse in his Kairos time. That means his divine time. And that is exactly what God did with me and Kenady. He brought us together in his divine time. Now, what do you do between that time when you meet your kingdom spouse and when you guys get married? You have to live on purpose. Go back to the scriptures and see what Jesus said in Matthew 28 before he ascended into heaven. He says, go make disciples. So I encourage you to do the last thing that Jesus said to his disciples before he ascended, to go make disciples. Do the will of the Father. And trust me, when you do, you will stop thinking about your kingdom spouse. Now, the first point that I want to make in regards to my waiting season before me and Kenady got married, God really wanted me to be healed. You see, before I proposed to Kenady, my father passed away, and then we buried him 7 days later. Now, that week after my father was buried, I did contact Kenady's father and ask for her hand in marriage. But God still wanted to heal my heart because it's going to take some time after a death, right? And so several weeks after that, I did propose on Thanksgiving, but I wanted to rush into the marriage. And I felt God pull back and say, Damien, you need to become friends with Kenady. And I still needed to heal from my father's passing away. And so that's what I did. One of the things that actually happened was I got in an accident. And so I needed to heal physically and also spiritually and emotionally. And so I just sat on the couch and allowed God to heal me spiritually. I also reflected and remembered all the good memories I had with my father and what God was calling me to do and carry his mantle in relationships around the world. I also wrote 2 books. And so one of the things that I do encourage you to do is heal. If you're coming out of a bad relationship, heal. If you lose a family member or lose a job, you need to heal. You need to allow God to heal those areas in your life. So many times when we're not healed, we look at the other person as our source. And what God was teaching me is that he was the source of comfort. Yes, Kenady was a vessel of comfort, but she was not my source. We see something similar with Isaac and Rebekah. Rebekah became Isaac's vessel of comfort, but she was not his source. God is your source, and he wants to heal those areas. Because when we rush into these relationships, hurt people can hurt people, and we can sabotage what God really wants to do in our relationships when we do not heal properly. One of the things that me and Kenady love to do is sit down with singles and couples and actually help them heal before entering into relationships. This is some of the things that we talk about in our coaching program. And so if you believe that you have the time, the energy, and the resources, and that you are ready to heal, in the description below is a link to an application. Fill that application out and jump on a call with us. On that call, we want to see where you are, where you want to go, and develop a roadmap so you can honor God in your relationship. My second point in regards to waiting for Kenady is that God was developing trust in me. Now, again, I want to be honest. I was 34 entering into 35 and I was a virgin. And so my heart was, I need to hurry up and get married so I do not burn with lust. However, this is an immature way to go about it. I don't need to get married just to have sex with my future wife. That is not the ultimate reason why we need to get married. And so God needed to pull me back and I need to focus on self control. However, the enemy was still trying to plant lies in my head. Again, I want to be vulnerable and transparent here. Now, I truly believe that Kenady was for me. I did not think that she was going to cheat on me or she was cheating on me. I really didn't have those thoughts. But I did have thoughts that, is this even real? Am I even going to get married? Is something tragic going to happen where Kenady is not going to get to the altar or I'm not going to get to the altar? And the funny thing was, I really thought that I was going to hear the trumpets. Brr, brr. No, I didn't sleep with my wife yet. But none of that stuff happened. And so what I had to do is learn how to really trust God. I say this often, but my wife actually taught me what trust really means. Out of Proverbs 3:5, where it says, trust in the Lord. You see, that word picture there is that you're taking a big boulder, moving it over to God's side, wiping your hands, turning around and saying, God, I trust you. And so my question here for you today is, do you really trust God? Do you trust God in the waiting? Do you trust God's going to bring you that kingdom spouse for that kingdom purpose? Trust God. He is worth trusting. Now, my third and final point that I want to make about waiting on God, especially waiting for Kenady to be my wife, was that God had to develop the husband leader in me. You see, I was a leader in business, in sports, and even ministry, but I had no idea how to be a leader as a husband. And so one of the things that I did was lean into my community. I asked a lot of questions and I still ask a lot of questions now. And Kenady gets frustrated with me because I love asking questions because I didn't want to go into this space, into marriage, not knowing. And so some of that is perfectionism, and we have to lay that down because that can become an idol. But I really did not want to be a fool as a husband. I wanted to be wise. And wisdom is applied knowledge. You see, just because you are a good leader as a business owner or even in ministry doesn't really make you a shoe-in to be a good leader as a husband. To be a good leader as a husband, you have to be a good follower. And the person I really needed to follow the most is Jesus Christ. So if I did not have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, how can I be a kingdom spouse? I needed to surrender my whole life to Jesus Christ, every area of my life. Yes, I was saved, but sometimes we do have areas that we want to hold on to. And I did not want to hold on to those anymore. I really wanted to give my whole self to Jesus Christ so I can be the best husband for Kenady. I talk about being a good leader and a good husband in the book that me and Kenady wrote while we were engaged, called Completely Married. And one of the principles that I talk about in that book is learning how to be a good head. You see, if you are the head of the household, that means you have to be healthy, especially healthy in your sight, not just seeing in the natural, but also seeing in the spiritual. You have to learn how to lean into the Holy Spirit and lead your family into difficult areas in your life. I call it being a water walker husband. Sometimes you have to learn how to walk on water and then lead your family into those water walking moments because it is about faith as a husband. You see, we cannot please God if we're not taking those risks and walking by faith. Another point that I make in our book is leadership is about being dedicated, determined, and dependable. I needed to learn how to be faithful and also dependable as a husband in marriage. And so God was working those things in me. And so before marriage, there were certain events that God had to walk with me through to show Kenady that I was dependable. One of the biggest things was to help her move. Like, yes, you're supposed to do that, but I had to show up, use my gas, use my car, use all those things without asking for anything because I wanted to show her that I was in it to win it. Now, if you feel that you are still struggling with the concept of waiting on your kingdom spouse and you are a single or a dating couple, we would love to talk to you. In the description below is a link to an application. Fill that application out and book a call with us. And on that call, we want to see where you are, where you want to go, and develop a roadmap so you can honor God in your relationship. Now, if you want to see more videos on how God prepares you for a kingdom spouse, you can watch these videos right here.